I'm Adriana Hemans. I'm the VP of Growth at ISA, which is a consumer insights firm based in Los Angeles, California. I head up ISA's Cannabis Research Division. And we are here at the Cannabis Drinks Expo learning about the wonderful world of cannabis beverages. One thing that's sort of a sore spot for the cannabis industry in general is that there are different regulations at every state. So where you may be allowed to do some things in California, you're not allowed to do them in Nevada and so forth. So that makes it confusing for people that want to build a national brand. And it also makes it confusing for consumers because they have an expectation of what they will get in the state that they're from, and then they travel somewhere else and it's different. And the classic example of this is dosing. So in some states there's a limit of 100 milligrams, in other states it's a different limit. So if you are used to having a certain variation or a certain formulation of the product that you love, you go to another state and it's different, it might not be a good experience for you, or you might accidentally take too much, and so that is definitely a hurdle for manufacturers too. Well, they are still a tiny segment of the market, but they're growing quickly and they are very popular. There's a lot of buzz, people are really excited about it, and I think rightfully so. It is a category that I think will have exponential growth, and the reason for that is this is how we're used to consuming socially, right? If we go to a graduation party or a birthday party or a happy hour with your coworkers, this is already like baked into our the fabric of our culture and our society. So it makes sense if we have the ability to infuse a beverage with cannabis. This doesn't have cannabis in it, by the way. It's just a sample. Why not? Because we already have those like built-in cultural customs that are about like having a toast or sharing a drink with someone or sharing a beer. So I think it totally makes sense. I think that this will attract the canna curious, people who don't necessarily want to smoke or vape. They may have concerns about lung health. They may have had a bad experience with an edible, which is a very common story that we hear sometimes. I think that beverages are just very accessible, and they're also, well loved already by Americans. Well, I think what we're seeing, a trend that I'm seeing a lot, is using caps as a measuring device. This doesn't have one, but there are some where it's like, okay, you take it out, you know that a capful has a certain number of milligrams of THC, so you're able to measure it. If you were just like gonna pour it out, then you wouldn't really know how much THC you were about to have. And there's also hurdles with some dispensaries don't necessarily want to give up square footage to have a cooler section. So there's also the sort of like infrastructure that needs to be built out a little bit around beverages. There's also sort of a debate going on now about low dose versus high dose, where some folks are arguing, based on the fact that high-dose beverages so far are doing well, and they're usually the bestseller in their individual markets, that that will stay that way, right? And that will just be, it'll be all high dose, and by high dose I mean like over 50 milligrams. And then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is the company Can that was speaking earlier today. They make a low-dose beverage. I think that their strategy is really smart because they are mimicking the way that we consume alcoholic beverages. So you wouldn't go to a party and have one drink that was equivalent to like 10 shots and then call it a night. You would want to have a small drink, not as strong drink, and then pace yourself throughout the night and sort of choose your own adventure. So I think that debate will wage on for a little bit longer, but I do think that there's room in the market for both, and I think we will see some best-selling low-dose options too.